Hey y'all. Today I'm here with another Astronomer Live session where I'm going to be going over one of the latest and greatest updates to the Astro CLI, and that is the new ability to actually test Astro projects before you upgrade. So as we all know, one of the hardest parts about actually upgrading, or one of the reasons most people don't upgrade, is there's a lot of compatibility conflicts that can happen. There's a lot of dependency changes. Um, you know, Airflow is an open source project, and there is change happening every single day. So a mechanism for actually testing your Astro projects and their compatibility with being able to be upgraded without actually needing to build a new image and just kind of struggle through all those failures and work it out that way um, simplifies that whole process and just eliminates a lot of kind of engineering headache where now you get a full report about exactly what changes you need to make to your image to make it compatible with Astro, the latest version of Airflow, not just Astro. Um, and so the way you do this in the first iteration is Astro Dev upgrade test. And what this will do is build a image of your local repository. As you can see, this one is a 7.0, so definitely not latest and greatest. So it's going to build this, attempt to build it as an 8.8 image, and then it's also going to compare it to my existing 7.0 image. So this will take a couple of seconds to run through. As you can see, I've created a whole bunch of operators and libraries and things here that could potentially need to be changed. And so while we wait for this to run, you'll see this is just going to kind of build out as a normal image build would do within Astro. And there's a couple flat, I mean, you can also, and I'll show you this down the road, is you can also test your individual DAGs as well. So you'll get any import errors within the actual DAG code. Maybe, you're all the way back in 2.x and you're still doing dynamic DAGs, and you should switch to dynamic tasks. So that would make you aware of that and let you know, hey, time to switch. And also one thing to note is the first time you build this image, it will take a little bit longer than subsequent builds, as you'll see here. So I just want to kind of point that out as to why this is taking so long. And it's also installing a whole heck of a lot of packages because I wanted to have an actually interesting report for you to read when you're actually doing it, or when I'm showing you the different reports it'll spit out. Um, and then what you'll do is you'll make the changes described in these reports, and then you can actually have a upgraded and usable image. And so again, this isn't a way for, it's not going to automatically change all of your files to be compatible with 8.8. It's just going to print out some reports that will tell you these are the changes you should make to be compatible with 8.8. And so this is finally finishing up, just doing some install like git. So we can manage it via git, and now we're exporting the image. Awesome. So now it's going to give us a summary. So it's going to build image for a new Airflow version, and then it is going to give me a summary within my Astro test folder. So just give it one more second to run through this process. This should be a lot quicker since it's already built the image. So hopefully goes through nice and easily. And we should have our report here ready in a second. And this will create its own folder, so you don't need to worry about, and here we are, creating a folder to hold it. So you can see it just created the folder there, and then in a second it will be populated with the files actually created by the upgrade test. Boom. And so now it will, hey, so can't execute all these Docker builds commands, so makes sense there. But you can see here we have our pip freeze, and these are any dependencies that we need to switch between our regular and our previous image, and now our latest one. And I'll actually switch over to a screen with a little bit more of a full report because that one didn't have a ton of stuff. It looks like it ran into some errors because of the code in the Docker file. So what we will do is just pull up a separate one that has a few more of the different reports. And boom. So here we have in this upgrade 6.0, so exact same thing, just a slightly older version. So first we have our DAG test report, and I'll actually show you this in a second. But here we have our dependency compare. So if you go through this file, this will tell you all the different updates you'll actually need to make to have this image be compatible with the latest version of Airflow. So it breaks it down by specific provider, some providers that were removed, maybe their name switched, adding different Airflow providers, and then it'll also take any kind of like base image packages that need to be updated too. So it really doesn't just limit with Airflow packages, but every single piece of your Astro repository. It'll also give you a newer Docker file. I had a really simple Docker file in this one, so very much the same. And you can see it will give me my pip freeze. This is what my current version is, and then these are what I'm going to need to upgrade to have be compatible with 8.8. So you can notice if you look at, like, let's say AI Bo2 core goes from 2.4 to 2.5.2. And then another thing that we can do here is actually add a flag to our dev upgrade test to test for just specifically dependencies. So this will just give us an update on what dependency conflicts we might have and which ones we need to upgrade. So if you look at this right now, so it's going to much quicker build because I've already done this. It already has that image available, and you can see it is going to just tell me about anything. So dependency compare, so this is where this came from. Any major, minor updates. You're really going to want to pay attention to the major updates. These are the ones that are really likely to cause your DAG to fail. And then any unknown upgrades, you should also definitely pay attention to because those are ones that it wasn't able to resolve. Minor updates, these aren't very likely to actually break it. And if we see, do we have any unknown upgrades? Yeah, unknown updates here. So these are things outside of Airflow or within Airflow that the Astro CLI couldn't categorize, which could possibly also include major upgrades that could cause DAGs to break. And then finally, what we have here as well is the ability to run a Astro a DAG test. And this is pretty similar just to our Astro dev parse, except that it produces a slightly different report. It'll produce an HTML compatible report. So I go DAG test. And then what this will give me is this HTML report that gives me all the test results from my DAG. And you can kind of see running through here, you could open this within a browser and actually look at this web page. And this will tell you about basically just any breaking errors within your DAGs. I actually didn't detect any errors in my DAG, so it's just going to pretty much give me a flying pass of color. But yeah, that is all the different components of the new CLI upgrade test command. So I hope you learned something today. I learned a lot going through this, and it makes upgrading much more painless because you don't have to deal with actually figuring out all these yourselves and just struggling through errors. You kind of have a checklist of, all right, these are all the things I need to change so that it is compatible with that newer version of Airflow.